I always remember when I did not understand how I used to stand under all the fool's rules running these lands. I had my head in the sand and I was asleep. Now I learn a little more every day, and I'm waking the sheep. Gonna say it out loud, say it proud, get it out, 'cause I'm burning inside, cannot hide it no more. I'm a raconteur too. Yeah, I'm a raconteur too. Oh, I'm a raconteur too. All the people in the chat room singing. Oh, I'm a raconteur too. One more time now. Oh, I'm a raconteur too.
Good evening, folks, and welcome to Raconteurs News. It's Monday night, 7 o'clock. And as was strangely pointed out by somebody in the chat room, it's the 17th of the 7th at 7. So we're not quite sure what that means in numerology, but apparently we're confirmed as shills. What do you reckon to that, Jason?
Oh well, you know, you've met it when you've been confirmed as shills, aren't you? You're there. You're in the stratosphere of the alternative media when you're called a shill, or and there's a lot you got to say. Who's to know who the shills are?
Well, yeah, I've been noticing that there's been a lot of that this week. Have you looked at some of the Brian Harvey videos? They're quite shocking, really.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they you see, I don't know if you know, but I've been in hospital, and you sent me that that video of Brian Harvey when they're in hospital, and unfortunately, fortunately, they've got Wi-Fi in there, but unfortunately, because the nurses are such lazy bastards, and when they're on nights, so YouTube and Netflix and anything like that is all blocked. So you could just basically get your Facebook videos and all that sort of thing. So yeah, I watched it when I got out. It was the first thing I watched after I got off the phone from you on when I got off Skype from you and Dinny on Friday. And pretty shocking. I mean, there's some serious allegations there, and it seems that people aren't responding to it in the way they are. I think Ian Puddick has responded in a certain way, and I think so has John Wedger, who's of course has been a guest on Raconteurs News. John Wedger's seems to have responded to it and put out there, "Do you still love me?" quote, a question, and if should I carry on and doing what I'm doing because these shills? Me, I don't know. I'm just looking from the outside. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Very strange. I'm not sure what's going on here, but it seems we're trying to start on Facebook Live, and they don't want to do it. Just for a change, like.
Yeah.
All right. So let's just put the title in there, and we'll have another go. Oh, it's starting. Oh, that's all right. So yeah, welcome to Raconteurs News Live, everybody on Facebook. It's Monday the 17th of the 7th. And I'm joined by my old mate Stumpy. Hey. Yeah, I just had to do it, mate.
Listen, it really ain't a problem, mate. It really ain't a problem. I think anybody that gets upset just because somebody's, and I know there's nothing malicious about it as well. If someone come up to me and said, "Oi, now then, you stumpy little cunt," yeah, I'd perhaps, scold them. I'd scold them. I'd say, "Excuse me, but sir, can you not call me that? Can you not see that I have a stump here?" So, yes.
Well, I think really the first thing we ought to do is to let you give everybody a proper update on what's been happening, because, man, has it been a roller coaster for me. God knows what it's felt like for you.
Yeah, well, as everyone knows, I've not been very well for a while, for quite a while. I started with. I had problems with my right leg in 2010, and at that time they said that there was an occlusion in my left leg as well, but they wouldn't do anything until something happened. Now, unfortunately, because of the warfarin and the things that I've been on, I've not had anything in my left leg for 8 years. But in January, I had an event in my left leg. It was sort of a mini stroke type thing, and I went and presented myself to the hospital, and we're pretty much moved, pretty much dismissed, sort of moved away. It didn't seem as urgent as it did in the time that I'd had a similar sort of thing in 2010. It didn't seem the same sort of urgency. It didn't seem like they had plans in place. It seemed like the system had completely changed. During this, they just sent me home, and they said they'd make appointments at vascular clinics, and when it came down to it, it ended up being an operation that I had on May the 8th to this year, where I was having a routine. It's pretty routine. It's an angioplasty. So a balloon goes down the artery of your leg and inflates, and then you're watching this. You're awake while this is happening. It's all going through your groin, and the angioplasty, it did seem to take a long time. I mean, these things usually take about an hour, and I was there for 3 hours. So you can imagine 3 hours laid absolutely still, and I'm freezing cold as well, and I've got this stuff going off down my legs. And anyway, by the end of it, I came home from having that procedure. The doctor who'd performed it said that he said it had gone well, and it's so then I come home. Bear in mind, when I went in before the operation, before the angioplasty, I could walk. I walked in. 2 days after, that was the last time I walked. I couldn't walk again. I got a bug from the hospital, which I'd picked up, I think perhaps with norovirus, which I know is prevalent at the moment, but it seemed to spread from me to my wife, to my mother-in-law. She had it as well. So anybody that came into contact with me got it, and I believe I got it from that ward. but that's something I can't prove, and but that just made things. I wasn't aware of how little I was progressing with the leg, and how little it was healing, because I was dealing with this other illness on top. So by the time I'm concentrating on my leg, and how it is dealing with what's happened. It's in quite a state. It won't straighten up at all. Again, sorry? Contracture. Yes, that's called contracture. It won't straighten up at all. And when the doctor saw that, I mean, we went to the doctor. In between, we kept going back, and I kept saying, this is not right, it's not right, this is not right, it's not right, it's not right. And they were saying, look, there's nothing to indicate that this limb is in any danger. It's not threatened. It wasn't threatened. It's not threatened. It's not a threatened limb. So what we'll do is we'll call for you. We'll get you. We'll call you in. Have an appointment, and we'll decide what we're going to do next. But by the time, after another couple of weeks, it had got to a point where I was in a lot of pain. And I managed to get an appointment, didn't I? Yeah, I managed to get an appointment with one of the, and this was only a few weeks ago. I got an appointment with a consultant, and he said that in his opinion that we should go straight to amputation. Now that for me was for all of us was quite a shock, because we thought that there were other options that were in the way that that could have gone first. But because of the contraction on my leg, and that would never straighten up again, and there's nothing they could do about that, so I wouldn't be able to walk again anyway, I decided that I wanted to go straight ahead for the amputation.
Yeah. Oh, wow. You're right there, mate.
Yeah, pretty much there. Yeah. Pretty much there and then. That's when I decided that I decided that I didn't want it anymore. It was I was in constant pain. I was in pain 24 hours a day. I slept for half an hour and then it would wake me up. It was just pain, and I just wanted rid of that pain. And it felt like that this leg had been ruling my life. It had been ruling everything that I did in my life, and it was time to take that power back from that leg and say, listen, you Mr. fucking leg, you're doing fuck all. You're there hanging on to end of me. I'm having to carry you about, and all you're ever doing is giving me pain. I'm going to cut you off. You can fuck off. And that's the way I felt. It sort of made me feel like I get some power back. I know Danielle, my wife, wanted to explore other options to save it, but as it turned out, that was the best option anyway, because if I'd have probably waited. If I'd probably had a bypass, I know it wouldn't have worked. From what I know after they've done the amputation, I know it wouldn't have worked, and I know I would have been in more pain.
Oh, hang on, Jason. Sorry, mate. We've muted you somehow. What have I done wrong here? Oh, bugger. There's something going a bit weird in. I think your mic's live again now. If for some reason your camera's not coming up on YouTube live, but you are on Facebook, so
okay.
Weird.
Can you see me now? It's me.
Yeah, well, that's the weird thing. We can see you on Facebook because I can see you, but somehow YouTube Live's just frozen on my camera. Which let me try turning my camera off for a bit and seeing if that helps. All right. Yeah, carry on talking, Jace. If it just comes up where it's just my screensaver, I'll turn it back on again.
Yeah. Well, they did, didn't they? Yes. So where were I? Where did I get to? Someone remind me, please. Where I got to? Oh yeah, where I'm sort of taking back power from my leg and saying, listen, you're not in charge. I'm in charge. I'm the one that's that deals with all this stuff. I pay the bills. I'm the one that keeps you warm. I'm the one that fills your hot water bottle up when you need you. And all you do is give me pain and grief. And at that point, I really made my mind up. But because Danielle had reservations and really couldn't quite come to terms with, because it was quite a shock. It was the first time it had ever been mentioned, and it were like, that's what you need to have now, weren't it? Really, it was the first time that an amputation had even been mentioned.
It was just like telling you you're having chips, fish, and peas for your dinner.
Yeah, it were. It were like saying you're having fish, chips, and peas for your dinner. You know, amputation. And I'm then asking questions. I said to him, what sort of time period are we looking at? And he says, well, if you go away and think about it for a week, which is what I did, he said, if you stop he said, by end of next week, we can have it off, didn't it? It'll be off by end of next week. But it were an urgent case, which is how it turned out. I mean, we didn't know at that time how urgent the case were, how urgent it were. So we went away, and I'd already decided, and I just really needed Danielle just needed time to come to terms with it before, but we both agreed that it was what needed to happen, that it needed to come off. So we made that choice. We went back that Wednesday, and we said to the guy said to us, have you made your minds up what you want to do? And we said, yes, I want to go straight to the amputation. He said, okay, well, I'll admit you now then. And because he said, if he said to me the week before, if you decide that you're going to have the amputation, then I suggest you take. He said, stop taking this particular pill on the Monday, which I had done. So I said, well, you can't do it until the Friday. So matter if I go home tonight and come in tomorrow, the day before the amputation. He said, yeah, that's fine, no problem. So it would only get you in for some pain relief. So I went home, and then we packed my bags up, didn't we? And off we went to the old hospital. And it took a that was the thing as well, wasn't it? Because there wasn't a bed for me.
What?
Yeah, we were sat 6 hours waiting for a bed.
Oh, bloody hell. You never told me that bit.
Oh, yeah. We were sat 6 hours waiting for a bed. And, you know, you're in pain. You're seeing all these people around you. You know, in the same situation. Look, throughout any of this, I didn't feel like I were a victim or anything. I felt like I were in control of it, and that's how I got through it, because I felt like I was in control. I didn't think I were a victim. I didn't think I were a victim of this disease or this infection that had got into me. I didn't feel like a victim. I felt like somebody that I was taking control, and this was my gig. And you know, I weren't going to be sitting there and shitting myself. I can honestly say, throughout the whole time, there was not a single time when I crapped myself, and I'm the biggest coward that there is. But there was just no time, not one single time, even when you're getting wheeled into surgeon into theatre, and you see hammer and chisel that they used to break your kneecap off. You know, they've got there waiting for you. There were no time at all that I felt any fear at all. And I think that's a lot down due to me making that decision and deciding that was it. You know, we're done fanning about. I've done farting about. I've done wasting my time with this stupid poxy leg. Yeah. So there were the ward was pretty good. There were lots of people around, you know, lots of people that had been in quite a long time, some quite sad people really, that had been in there a long time, and really didn't have much. There didn't really seem to be much hope for them to be independent and on their own any time in the future. So there was some there was some good times. We had some good laughs. On certain nights with certain members of staff, but yeah. So I go in, I get a sedative. Where are we? What are we on? 20 minutes. I've been talking for 20 minutes. Fucking hell. We've not even stuck a knife in me yet.
Stuck a knife in you? Why does anybody need to stick a knife in you? What was that about?
No, well, I mean, I've been talking for 20 minutes and we've not got anywhere near to. We're day before the actual procedure itself. Let me get on to the procedure itself. Now, the procedure itself is done either one of two ways. You either have a general anaesthetic, or you have a local anaesthetic in your spine, which is like an epidural. Okay. Now, what they normally do is they will have the epidural, and it will be a slow release epidural that is left in your back, which will just completely numb your bottom half for 3 days, and it's supposed to help with the initial healing, you know, the pain and all that stuff. Of course, I said, well, look, they said you're awake through that, but you know, you'll be sedated, but he said you're awake through it, and you might remember it, you might not. He says, but you won't feel anything, absolutely nothing. And so I said, well, I like epidural. He says, only thing is, it's Friday. We don't do epidural. Listen to this. We don't do epidurals on a Friday. I said, why not? He said, well, he says, because with an epidural, there's a long list of rise. And he said, and because it's the weekend coming up, there'll be nobody here. He says, there's World Cup on. So, you know, everyone's going to be, he says, so there'll be nobody to come and, you know, and I thought, wow, that's incredible. We're not giving you an epidural because there might be complications. There's more likely to be complications. But, you know, it's going to be weekend. You know, they always say that, though, don't they? You don't go in hospital on weekend because they'll kill you. And so, anyway, in the end, I opted for a single shot or epidural, which lasts about 4 hours into my spine, and stayed awake throughout the procedure. And it were well, it were weird. It were as though I knew I was there. I knew what I could hear, and I knew what I was listening to, and I knew exactly what they were doing. But it were almost like it weren't me. You know what I mean? I weren't. It were because my bottom half were just completely numb, like a woman who's had an epidural for a baby. They said it was just like I could hear everything, but it just felt like it weren't me, and it were really quite weird. But everybody in the theatre were really nice. They were really supportive. Told you exactly what they were doing. You know, and I didn't realise, but what they do is they take all your nerves that are on the part of your on the lower half of your leg, the part that they're chopping off. They get all the nerves and they gather them all up and then tuck them into your stump, and so all your nerve endings don't die, which is why you can. I touch my stump now, it's like I'm scratching the bottom of my foot. You know, in certain places it's really weird in different places, but that's what they do. They take all so they're just cutting through the bone and really just, you know, taking all crap off, you know, all fat and all disease. But you see, when they got in there, they found out that it was infested with infection. It was infected. The following morning, because the following morning. After I got out of theatre, Danielle came. I'd still got the effects of the epidural. This was Friday night, and I'd pissed and shit myself and done all this. I didn't shit myself. I just pissed myself.
Just the way.
I just pissed myself. So we're all right. So yeah, I'd pissed myself, but I knew that were wearing off, and that also meant that I could get out of bed and go and watch the England game on the following day, the Saturday. You know, in the telly room. That's all I was really bothered about. Yeah. So and the following morning, the surgeon that had cut my leg off, he came round and he said it was an infected stent. That's what had caused it. An infected stent. I only had one stent in that leg. And that was the one that had been put in about 7 weeks prior, and it was infected. And they said we didn't even know until we cut the leg off, and then all the shit and the infections started coming off. So they had to put me on antibiotics, intravenous antibiotics for a week, didn't they? Really strong ones. They were pumping them in me like 3 or 4 times a day. These antibiotics. So all this has stemmed from that botched operation that I had back in May, and he not only said it once, he said it twice. He said it the following day as well when he came to have a look. He said it the following day when he came to have a look. So it's an infected stent, and it's well.
I know we've said so much about the NHS, and you've had your fair share of gripes about them over the years, but that is an astonishing admission on their part. I suppose the obvious question is...
He said it twice. You know, there were plenty of people that were there. The stent was infected. So it's... well, I don't know where to go with it, but you know, all I'm concentrating on at the moment is trying to get me me life back on track. And for anybody that's watching on the Google Live, if you want to have a look at my stump, I'll show you now.
Well, unfortunately for them that's watching on Google, they'll not be able to see it. But those on Facebook Live, there's Jason's. Quite amusing comment there from Tony in the chat. He just said, because obviously your cam's not coming up on YouTube Live, he just said, you're all right, Andy, you're looking a bit squeamish there.
Well, I don't know why my cam's not coming up on YouTube Live. Probably because I'm too ugly.
No, I don't know what it is. It's always come up on there before.
Turn camera off and turn camera on.
Yeah, I tried that. Something happened. I'll let you know if it comes up on Google. But you're showing all right on Facebook. They can see you on Facebook. So I see we've got Tom Barnes joined us. Hi, Tom. Loving some of your posts, mate. Fun. I'm glad to see you're enjoying the Mediterranean weather up there in Easy Town. And Duncan Wilson, Pete Davison, Ryan Carr, Gareth Williams. We've got Guy. Brilliant to have Guy on board. Bob Jacobs is having a listen. Oh, great. Bob, let's hook up sometime, man. We'll get you on and we'll have a chat with you on air. Owen, I'm not sure what that comment is. He says missing the black man, whatever that means. I'm pleased Owen said that and not me. We've got Dave Gagin, we've got Danny Louise, Pat Velden, evening Pat, one of our old colleagues from People's Internet Radio, John Dow, Pete Davison, Susan Oliphant. Oh, we've got a Jenny Green and Lindsay. Lindsay was the first one on. You know, Lindsay joins us with Paul quite often.
Oh, yeah.
And did you see about Lindsay's been having a right go at somebody because they've been ripped her off for some concert tickets or something like that? Apparently they've been doing it to a lot of people. And I always said, Lindsay seems a lovely lass, but you wouldn't want to piss her off. And I think this guy's feeling her wrath at the minute. So that'll be fun to watch that one.
It's not Super Leeds, is it? Or Legless Leeds, as he calls himself.
Oh, well, we got Stumpy's missus in the Raconteurs News chat room as well.
That's me.
Oh, yeah. I'm mad at her. Patrick, looking on the bright side, you must get a discount on your shoes, Jason. Love you, man.
Well, listen, I've got a story about that. I was in I'm sorry, I've got to tell you this story. I was in the TV room, and I can't remember what day it were, but there was me and there was this other guy, right? And he says, and he'd got his right leg missing, and so he got his left leg and he got his right leg missing. And I said to him, I said, what size shoes are you? And he says, I'm an 11. I said, oh, right. I said, well, listen, I'm looking for a shoemate. Somebody who can I'll have the right one and they have the left one. So I'm looking for somebody with the left foot of 11. And he said, right, okay. He says, I said, he said, what size are you? I said, I'm a size 10. And he said, well, that's not going to work, is it? He said, I'm an 11. I said, yeah, I know, but I said, my left foot used to be an 11. It were one size bigger than right one, so it'll work. And he just couldn't work it out. He just couldn't work it out to himself. He said, well, I said, yeah.
Oh, there's another good one. Dave Gagan, Jesus, infected stent. Glad you're alive and kicking, mate. Brave man. And I mean, your bravery it's just astounded me all the way through, man. Gareth Williams, he says, I'm stumped for anything to say other than hope to see you in the next Paralympics, Jace.
Yeah, that's where I said I was going to do. I might do either like guns, spud guns or something like in Paralympics or bow and arrows. Because bow and arrow, I mean, come on, I should be all right at bow and arrows, shouldn't I?
Yeah, but you've got weedy little arms. You'll be no good for drawing the bow.
Ah, I know, but you know, if I go into like one of the sections where they've all got them little arms, you know what I mean? And I'm doing rehab as well, so yeah.
Oh, so you'd be like Popeye then?
Yeah, well, like, yeah, I will be by the end of rehab. Yeah, I would imagine so. Yeah, they give me plenty of stuff to do on my upper body strength, but as you know, I've got spaghetti arms, and I've not really been genetically blessed with like a huge physique. But I'm still getting myself out because luckily, I'm built like a Jippo's dog. Which is another thing I wanted to mention as well. When the amount of, this is how ill I was. When I had the operation 7 weeks before I went back into having my leg off, I was 88 kilograms. When I went to have it, when I was admitted this time, which is only 7 weeks later, I was 66 kilograms. That's 3.5 stone lighter. Well, 3.46, I think, stone lighter. So that's just that. And I didn't realize. You don't realize. You don't think. You know, people look at you. I've heard people. In fact, my mum and dad have said they've spoken to people and who'd seen me, and she said, and it were somebody I used to know, and my mum and dad had told her about what had happened and everything, and she said, I saw him before, not long ago, and she said, I thought he were going to die. I thought he were going to die. So. You know, everyone could see it, but me, I couldn't see it. I didn't realize that infection were killing me. But since I've got back, I've been stuffing my face. I've been eating like you wouldn't believe. In fact, can't fucking fill it. Yeah, can't fill it. Yeah, I've got all the legs and one empty one.
Well, I suppose you're going to have to eat a while to fill that up. I'll be honest, mate. I was really fretting over the operation because I knew what you'd been through since you'd had that angioplasty had really kicked the daylights out of you. And I was concerned whether you were going to be strong enough to make it through that op. But when I saw that, I was talking to Ricky over in Canada, and I saw a notification from your wife pop up on my computer screen. I clicked on it straight away, and it says he's out of surgery, he's sat up and he's talking. And wow, man, that was such a relief, because I knew once you made it through that op, I knew you was going to piss the rest of it.
Yeah, and I really have. I mean, I've been released a week. I was told when we were told, weren't we, love? 8 to 10 weeks. They said you'll be in hospital for 8 to 10 weeks, which I was prepared to do. I wanted to, you know, I needed to do what I were told. You know, there's been times I've not actually done what I've been told, or I've thought I knew better, but I thought I'm going to do what I've told. 8 to 10 weeks, I can handle that. I'm sure I can. And then it's a week, 8 days I ended up spending in hospital, and it was exactly a week after I'd had my leg removed that I got released, which for me is incredible. But you know, they didn't handle that sort of thing very well. I don't think they picked on the right people. They picked on the right person when it came to me to release me as quickly as possible, because the biggest danger is infection, and you're more likely to get an infection in hospital than you are at home. So you know, if they think that you know that it's healing well and there's no infection, there's nothing there, you know, they will send you home as soon as they possibly can. But some people, there was a guy there who'd had his leg removed on the Monday before me. So I had mine done on Friday. He had his done on the Monday before me. And they, the day before they told me that I could go home, they said to him he could go home. And he was, oh, I could go home. And when he was telling me, I could tell he was shocked, and he didn't really know what to do. He was like, oh, what? I don't think he was ready. But instead of saying to him, because, you know, they do say to you, if you're not ready, you just tell us, and we'll keep you in, and we'll you know, help you. Then we'll ease you back into life. I know he were going to be on his own, but what the guy ended up doing was he ended up injuring himself and saying he'd fallen down in the bathroom. He'd injured himself and reopened his wound up. And for me, that was one of the saddest things, is that he didn't want to go home that much, but he wasn't prepared to swallow his pride and say, look, I don't feel like I'm ready to be at home. I don't feel like I can cope. I've got nothing in place. Please, I need some more help before I go home. Instead of doing that, he's actually injured himself. And for me, that was something that really sad. And you know what? You know me, I'm like a bit of an amateur psychologist, and I can always tell when people, because when he was saying to me, "Oh, I'll be able to sleep in my own bed tonight," and it just weren't convincing. It just weren't convincing. And then afterwards, because I went off to physio, and when I came back, he'd had this accident, and he's laid in bed, and he's saying, "Oh, I can't go home now. No, it's going to be." And this was Thursday. He says, "Well, they're not going to be able to see me while Monday, or maybe even Tuesday next week. So I'm going to be until then." And oh well, everything happens for a reason, and you know, there must be a reason for it, and all this sort of stuff. And I just knew that what he'd done is he'd injured himself in order to be able to stay in hospital. Whereas if he'd just had that, just being able to just have that little bit of dignity, with humility, and just said, "Look, I'm not ready," because you know, you've had your leg chopped off. It's a huge thing. How can you be ready to go and live on your own? It's hard enough for me here, with my wife, who's been an absolute huge help. She's been absolutely fantastic, and I couldn't have wished for anybody better. So to go to somewhere I can absolutely understand where he's coming from. It's just that we've got this ego, and we don't want to say, "Look, I'm scared. I don't want to go home. I don't want to be on my own." You know, he'd got his own little social group as well that had built up around him, you know, in the ward. And I think that was one of the saddest things that I encountered in there.
Yeah, that was really sad. When you first told me about that, I really felt for the guy. I mean, it must be horrendous to feel so trapped that the only way you know out of it is to hurt yourself in such a drastic way. I've noticed we've got a healthy old chat room on YouTube, and I must apologize to everybody because you can only see my camera. For some reason, it's not wanting to show you Jason's camera. Only the Facebookers can see that. We've got Tony in there, we've got Owen, Papa Bear, Richard Lunn posted in the chat, and the most recent comment was from Blazing Stars, and they say stents only last 5 years. Usually they fail because of the bad sewing in by the surgeon. I didn't realise that. Did you know they only last 5 years, Jason?
Well, I fucking hope not. I've got 3 in my heart that were put in when 2015. Yeah, 2015. Yeah, December 2015. I had 3 put in my heart when I had the heart attack. So I fucking hope they last longer than 5 years, especially in that area as well. I've got one in my right leg which is blocked up, but that the nature sort of found its way around that, which keeps the leg alive. I mean, it's no good for running on or doing anything, but it's there, and it's not in any pain, and it's pushing me about. So yeah, I hope not. I know bypasses were supposed to only last 5 years, which is, you see, for me, it would either I had one big operation where they amputated my leg, or I had 3 operations, which would probably end up with me leg being amputated anyway. So. It's okay. Listen, there's people. I've seen people a load worse than myself. I were in. I'll tell you about a guy. I went into physio what happens is they come and pick you up front ward, they put you in your wheelchair into the back of a van, so you look like fucking Pope, you know, you think you look like a right dickhead because you're in your wheelchair and you're strapped into the back of this van, massive van, and there's just you in back of it. They come and pick you up and take you to a physio area, which is it's not very far away, but like they won't want you doing it in your wheelchair. And I was the only one that had a motor scooter, yeah, a scooter. I'm the only one that had a scooter, so anyway, they wouldn't let me go up on my scooter, the cunts. But anyway, so I go in to do some physio, and what they do is they chuck you on the floor, and you have to get up off the floor. They do they chuck you on the floor. They get hold of you, right? They chuck you on the floor and they say, right, get up, cunt. And so you have to get up, and you have to, you know, they give you like a little staircase to get onto to back yourself up on, and then you're oh, what's that? You know, you know what that is.
Now, what I've done, just for those that are on YouTube, I've actually put my camera on, so it's picking you up, but it's showing the camera switched off now. So it's not even working that way. Sorry, mate.
Yeah. So anyway, I go in and do a bit of physio, and I'm outside afterwards. It only takes an hour, a bit of physio. You know, chuck your own floor, get up, do one of these hand bike things for 5 minutes. Who does them for 5 minutes? When am I going to be doing that with my hands like pedaling for 5 fucking minutes? I'm never going to be doing that, am I? Never. So, but anyway, they got me doing all that sort of shit and that. But I met this bloke when I was waiting for my transport back to the ward. I met a bloke, and this guy it got this big leg. It got a prosthetic leg in like a piece of polythene next to me, a polythene bag like thing. And when he sat in his wheelchair, and he says, "It's my new leg." I said, "Fucking hell, I'd like one of them." It had like a spring on knee and all that sort of thing. But this guy we got chatting, and I said to him, I said, "So what? How long you?" He says, "It's 2 years since I lost my leg." Because what I was doing is I was asking him, because he'd been doing it a year, having physio to get his leg put on for a year. I was trying to pump him for information on how long it was going to take, and you know what sort of things they did. And he said, "Oh, I've been doing it for a year." And I thought, fucking hell, a year? I'm not fucking waiting a year to get my fucking fake leg. You know, give me a bionic leg instantly, please, as soon as swelling goes down. But anyway, what I didn't know is we got chatting, and I said, "So what happened with you? Were it accident or shot?" He says, "I was in my house in Sheffield." He says, "One night, and I hear somebody breaking in the house downstairs. So I go downstairs, confront him." He says, "Shot me."
Wow.
Shot him, and he pulled up his shirt to show his stomach, and it was just a mess. Absolute mess. He says, "I'm on dialysis. My kidneys are fucked. It's fucking shot fuck out of my kidneys. You know, my stomach's," he says, "I've got a bag. My stomach's not, he's got a colostomy bag," all this sort of thing. And, you know, and on top of that, he's lost a leg. And you know, that's when you think to yourself, for fuck's sake, 2 years this bloke's been at this. And you know why they fucking robbed his house? They robbed his house because he had one of those things that comes out the back of a tumble dryer hanging out of the window, right? You know, that expels the moisture hanging out of the window, and some kids walking past thought it were a grow. And so they broke in and then fucking shot him when he disturbed them. And you know, all for that. And then that's when you think to yourself, for fuck's sake, I'm only missing fucking 3/4 of a fucking leg. I can get another 3/4 of a leg on that. I can do that. This bloke's been at this for fucking 2 years. There must have been so many times when he's just thought, what the fuck am I doing? You know, He told me his fucking wife had left him because of it after he got paid out and took half the money. You know, just shit like that. And it, you know, so just me losing 3/4 of my leg, it's fuck all, right? It's fucking nothing. I will fucking deal with it. I've had great fucking support. Heath came down right all the way from North Shields as well. Fucking dickhead. Fucking couldn't find his car. All the way out. I says to, I thought they were a football match on, and we were in room, and it were about 8:15, and visiting time were over at 8, and so about 8:15, I says, "Come on, I'll walk with you to, I'll walk. I'll fucking roll with you to your car." And so he's like, couldn't fucking work out where he'd been, where he'd gone. We got outside, we're looking. He finds it on his phone. By end, I had to go back in because I was losing power on my fucking motor scooter, and I weren't going to make it back to Ward. So I don't know what time he found his car, but he found it at some point. But you know, big thanks to him for coming down all the way from North Shields. Big thanks to you as well, Andy. I mean, you've been over a couple of times from Boston. I mean, it's a long way, and I've really appreciated it. I really appreciate all the support that I've had.
Well, when I was over yesterday, you said to me, "Oh, thanks for coming over. I wouldn't do the same if it was you, you know, but I know damn well you would." and even I don't care whether, you know, it's the thing we've talked about on this show quite a few times in the past. You don't do what you do because of what you're going to get out of it. You do what you do because you know it's the fucking right thing to do. And if you do anything else, you'd have trouble sleeping at night. You'd have trouble facing yourself in the mirror. And, you know, I think I've seen now you've been overwhelmed by the kindness of other people, and can see by and large the kindness of other people is not because they think they're going to get out of it, because it's not a publicly recognized thing, but they're just good people that we have listening to this show. And we've got some really good friends on social media and through the show that we've never actually met. But, you know, one day, hopefully, we'll maybe get a meet up sorted or something like that. And folks will be able to come and meet us. Yeah, it's...
Yeah, also, I'd like to mention as well my family. I've very often been critical of my family, but I'd like to point out that here they were here for me. The whole lot of them were here for me, and it's made me reevaluate. Sometimes I'm critical of people over things that don't really fucking matter, because when it comes down to the stuff that does matter, they're there. So I don't know if any of them are fucking listening or whatever or hear this, but you know, I have been. I even had a handwritten letter from a cousin who I've not seen in 10 years, and the last time I saw him, I don't think I was very Christian towards him. I think I was a little bit of a tosser. So, and I got such a lovely handwritten letter from him, and I'm going to. Like I've said to my dad, I'm going to give him a call because he's left his number on the letter. I'm going to give him a call when I feel like I'll be able to talk to him without bursting into tears, because that's really been a lot of it. I've been so overwhelmed with that's what's made me burst into tears over most things. You know, I'd say. I don't know whether to say it's not as bad as you think it's going to be, but you know, I don't know yet. I'm not really anywhere near. I've only just got home. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm having me stitches out on me staples out on Friday, so we'll see what happens from then on. But listen, we had some great stories on while we were at Hunt Ward. You know, they were these guys. Honestly, we had some real good laughs. In particular, the guy that we were hiding the remote control from, because he used to come in. He were a walking zombie. He was a very nice fella. I had lots of really good chats with him, and he used to come in with his pulling his little machine with him that were putting his drip into him and whatever. And then he'd sit down and he'd put something on TV. And then he'd fall asleep, and he'd fall asleep on remote. So he'd have to, he'd have some crappy war film on or something on film 4, and you'd have to lift him up and grab all the remote. And then I'd say to him afterwards, "Stop laying on remote. If you're going to come in, don't go to sleep. If you're watching something, And he were a really nice bloke. Had a really good, nice rapport with him and a good chat. And I think after I'd had my amputation, and I'm talking about black toes.
Yeah.
I mean, his toes. You saw him, didn't you? Did you see him, Andy?
No, I don't think I saw the chap you're on about.
Yeah, the bloke with black toes. Yeah. I don't know what some stent surgery before I left, but he were a really nice bloke.
Oh wow. Yeah, sorry, I've swapped the cameras around just so that the YouTubers can have a look at you. There's Sots has just joined us. Welcome, Sots. Oh, that's that's it. Your picture's come up now. So yeah, I mean, there was something that struck me as particularly odd, and that was that thing you were saying about when you lay your leg on the bed.
Yeah.
Really bizarre.
Yeah. When I get last few days, I've been having a lot of what they call phantom pain. So the pain that I used to have in my foot and in my leg and in my toes, I sort of get reminders of it. It's called phantom pain, but it actually feels like it's your leg and it's your foot and it's your toe. It is really weird. It's like when I lay on a bed. It's like my legs are laid on the bed, but then my left leg, the lower half, seems to, it's like it's falling through the bed. It's like it's there, but it's falling through the bed. And then sometimes I could even feel like that I were touching some piece of metal that were under the bed or something. But it's all there in your mind. But it's called phantom feelings and phantom pain. I've had quite a bit of phantom pain in the last couple of days. It seems to have eased off now. The more when you're doing stuff, that's the when the pain don't bother you so much.
Yeah, well, I suppose it's like anything else. If you've got something else to occupy your mind and distract your attention, you're not sat or laid or stood or whatever, solely focusing on that pain. Because I know from my own experience of the years of pain that I've had, that if you've got nothing else to concentrate on but that pain, it can get overwhelming. If you've got other stuff you can be focusing on, it kind of distracts you from that. And it to me, having something to focus on is a damn sight better than some really good painkillers, really.
Yeah. It's listen, the painkillers. I've come off morphine. I came out of hospital on Friday. I was still having morphine, but I'm not having any now. I've just been having some medicinal, shall we call it, some herbal painkillers, which has been doing a rather a spiffing job, and a couple of cold codomols every now and again, but not very many. I don't even had any today. So the pain situation is the only thing that's really doing me head in is the phantom pain. Yeah,
if he falls in the lake, he's just going to end up going round in circles anyway, Susan. So it's.
Do you know? I don't know how many times I've heard that joke. People have been saying, "Are you going to have some hydrotherapy?" No, you'll just go around in circles.
Yeah, we'll tell you.
Listen, it's awesome, man. I love it. It's great.
Yeah, I was thinking about. I once saw somebody with one leg riding a bicycle, and I thought, wow, that's quite an achievement. Because you think about it, keeping that one pedal going with just one leg must be quite hard. But I suppose as you adapt to just having the one leg, I suppose things like that will come as second nature, because it's remarkable how adaptable we are, and how adapt to the strangest situations, like losing a limb, or even people who've lost multiple limbs. They seem to adapt incredibly well to what they're doing. Owen says you're an inspiration to him, Jason. Awesome.
Well, and speaking of that, the cycle thing, we went into a shop today. We went into. I wanted some gloves because I keep scraping my knuckles when I'm in my wheelchair, going through the doors. I keep scraping my knuckles, so I wanted some cycling gloves. They told me to get, so I got some. So we're going to Soft Sports today. Picks up some cycling gloves and, paying for them. And Danielle turned to me and says, "You know what he's thinking, don't you? You're not fucking cycling." Everything else on hold. Well, any other priorities on hold until I get my prosthetic limb, my bionic limb, my bionic leg. Which I saw one I saw a bloke walk into the rehab centre on one, and I thought, God, I love one of them. It looked like, like when RoboCop had no skill on it, and he was like robot. It looked like one of them legs, and it had like a spring on it. And I thought, brilliant, that'd be brilliant, absolutely superb. So I want one of them. So I'm going to have
Jason Holmes, a man barely alive. We can rebuild him. We have the technology.
Is the $6 million man. God, that takes you back, doesn't it? The $6 million man, Steve Austin.
Oh, and listen, I think we're getting up to a break time, aren't we? So,
oh yeah, we're getting there.
If we can't, by the transsexual nurse.
Oh, now that will be interesting.
It certainly will.
We're gonna have a couple of tracks now. Well, you were saying about herbal healing, so we've got to have marijuana from Heath, and then we've got a new track from somebody who was on the show a while back, Graham Hart. So enjoy, folks. We'll be back in a few minutes. Oh, and by the way, the mics stay live while this is on.
I'm gonna have some fun with this one here. Woo-hoo! In the morning, Mary Joanna. If you look in my eyes, you will see.
Cause you know they wanna take over and see you do that run, the one that they clean and the one that done. Cause I know you cannot be me now what you wanna do. Cause I'm about to break it down, me cannot so like, cause you know you cannot fade me now, let you wanna. Give it the back of the night because I'm telling you, what bar, one bar, cannot wonder. Because you know you like the way you happen to pick up. Cause I'm telling all your fools what happened, and in a mercy. Now what you wanna do, and in a mercy. Now what you wanna do, and in a mercy. Now what you wanna do, and in a mercy. If you look in my eyes, you will see what I've done. Every minute, every hour of every day. But life is like a smoke. In the end, I'm gonna choke. So all I do is live my life from day to day. You got to lick it, stick it, bend it, crease it, stack it, burn it, pack it, roll it, poke it, roach it, smoke it, then you pass it to me. You got to lick it, stick it, bend it, crease it, stack it, burn it, pack it, roll it, poke it, roach it, smoke it, then you pass it to me.
Come on, baby girl, let's get it going on. I'ma hit the highway and do it my way. It ain't no game, girl, so I don't play games. I keep it up straight, right up in your face. So make your mind up, cause life is too short. I got the vest on, boy, put your belt on. Stop acting all cool like Kanye West, boy. You be riding through the wire and the camera get on fire. You don't want that, no, I don't want that, no. This goes up to pimps and chicks, so slow. Hit the backseat when you're doing the licking, kissing, squeezing. Do the damn thing, man.
You got to lick it, stick it, bend it, crest I wake up, turn it back and roll. All I want is smoke, marijuana to me. In the evening, keep bending when I'm thinking, burn it back and roll. All I want is smoke, marijuana to me. In the morning, keep bending when I wake up, burn it back and roll. All I want is smoke, marijuana to me. In the evening, keep bending when I'm thinking, burn it back and roll. All I want is smoke, marijuana to me. Going around the world, wake up. You're on a hoax train, a hoax train. Going around the world, wake up. Get off the hoax train, the hoax train. The first stop we'll be making will be Auschwitz. Tell all your friends you won't see the swimming pool. When the train arrives at the station, like the theater, it's being hidden from you. Come on, world, wake up. You're on a hoax train, a hoax train. Climb off the world, wake up. Get off the hoax train, the hoax train. The next stop is reading a diary over in Amsterdam. Written in pen and pencil, now there's a clue. You see, the pyro wasn't invented until 1952. The world, wake up. You're on a hoax train, a hoax train. Climb off the world, wake up. Get off the hoax train, the hoax train. Hoax! What a hoax! What a hoax! What a hoax! Climb off the world, wake up. You're on a hoax train, a hoax train. Climb off the world, wake up. Get off the hoax train, the hoax train. Climb off the world, wake up. You're on a hoax train, a hoax train. Climb off the world, wake up. Get off the hoax train, the hoax train. Climb off the world, wake up. Hoax train. Climb off the world, wake up.
And welcome back, folks. This is Raconteurs News, Monday night, and it's me and Stumpy. How you doing, fella?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. Yeah.
I just
It's Tuesday night, by the way.
That is, yes. That I got something a bit because I played the Monday intro, but hey, yeah, we're getting there. it's all a bit strange at the minute. But yeah, I did message Toby Lee in the break, see if he got any chance of getting on that Google Hangout. He was having trouble getting on the Google Hangout, but I haven't heard back from him, so I'm presuming he's either frantically trying to get it sorted out or no joy. So, Jason, put your foot down if they don't give you the false leg. There you go. Patrick says you should put your foot down if you don't give you that false leg quick.
With a firm hand. Put my foot down with a firm hand.
And then Legless Leeds is saying maybe you could buy Stephen Hawking's wheelchair.
I know. And also, there is the other one that I've reduced my counting capacity by a quarter.
My name is Stephen Hawking, and I used to listen to Raconteurs News.
Yeah, sorry, I couldn't resist that. As soon as anybody mentioned Stephen Hawkins, we've got to play that, haven't we?
Of course we have. Of course we have. It's a memorial to the man. It's a tribute to the great statue.
Yeah. Well, I mean, have you basically covered where you wanted to cover with your op and your recovery and that sort of thing? Oh.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, like I say, I'm home now. I've been home for a couple of days. We've had people come round from occupational health today, and they're going to install some aids for me. I mean, I think I've been a victim of my own recovery because I've recovered that quick, and I've been able to come home that quick. It's they've missed out on all the things that they're supposed to do before you come home, but. I mean, the amount of beds that they require there, there's always like a big screen up that says, and right in the centre, I think it tells you who's in what bed and who's looking after them or whatever. And it's a huge TV screen, and right in the middle, it'll say patients waiting for beds. And sometimes you've got 14, 19, sometimes it was just 4 or 5. But I mean, there were a lot of people waiting for beds. Like Danielle said, we went when they said we could go home. Because they're notorious for delaying you for getting your drugs from the pharmacy, and some people have been waiting 9 and 18 hours. So I said I weren't moving off my bed until they got me drugs, and then they could, you know, if that's however quickly they wanted the bed, then that's how quickly they get the. They get me drugs, but as it worked out, it was okay. But we just went and took some stuff down to the car, and then come back up, and it had been changed and washed and turned over. So you know, as soon as you were off it, a pretty quick turnaround, which says a lot. I mean, the thing about it is that the people that are working in there are working in such difficult conditions. I mean, just think for this for a minute. I needed a cannula, and I think it were about 5 times that my cannula had to be removed and it had to be changed. And then one night it had come out, and they said, "Well, what we'll do." I think it were about 7 o'clock. They said, "Right, well, we'll call for somebody to come and put you a cannula in." And by 11:30, somebody came, put me a cannula in right in my hand, and I said to her, "Can you put a bandage around it so that if I knock it or anything like that, it's not going to come out?" Because that's what's happening, is it's just coming out as soon as I knock it or I'm moving about. And she said, "No, I can't do that. I'm not allowed. I'm not allowed to put a bandage on. Put a cannula in, but can't put a bandage around it. That would have to be done by a nurse." This is what these people are working in. And you know, for somebody, I mean, I'm in the position whereas I can understand, because I know the bureaucracy and the crap that they go through and everything, that all the little rules and the silly bollocks that they come up with. I know all about it, but you know. Can you imagine somebody that don't really know that? I mean, why can you put a needle in me, but not wrap it up with a bandage? It would just seem crazy.
Yeah, well, that's always going to be the problem with the NHS. There are so many people who are working there because they are driven. It's their vocation in life to help people, but unfortunately they're doing it with both arms tied behind the back most of the time, aren't they?
Yeah, they are, and it's. Do you know, I get sick of having to do this, but you know. All the people, everybody, every single one. I get sick of having to do this, but you know, all the people, everybody, every single one of them that I came across in the NHS, with the exception of one, was kind, wanted to care for you, wanted to help you, wanted to do what you wanted, wanted, you know, to help you. But just most of the time they were overwhelmed. You know, I asked for morphine at. I was supposed to be having morphine every 2 hours, and I asked for morphine at 5 o'clock because my 2 hours were up. And I said, "Can I have some morphine?" And you know, she said yes. So I said, "Look, I'll be in day room, in telly room, in telly with you know, with everyone else." And then so that were at 5 o'clock. 6 o'clock, I went back in. I says, "You not forgot me, have you?" "No, I've not forgot you. Not forgotten you at all. I promise. I'll be in very soon." I said, "No problem, I'll be in there." I goes back in at 7 o'clock. She's gone home.
Oh, Jesus.
So then I'm having to ask a new nurse, "Can I have some morphine?" By this time, you know, we're talking early on after I've just had my leg amputated, and the pain's quite severe, and morphine really gives you that kick from it. But it was just unreal. It just sent, but I knew it wasn't her. It wasn't. She didn't do it deliberately. It's just that she got tied up in so many different things. You know, and somebody would come along and put something else in front of her, and I knew that there just weren't enough nurses there to be able to fulfill all the needs of everybody that were on our little. I mean, there was eight beds on my ward, on my what do they call it? Bay, on my bay. On my bay, there were 8 beds. You know, at night we'd have one doctor. There were a bloke in the bed across from me when I first went in, the first night I was there, so I've still got my leg. This is before I have my leg out, the night before I have my leg amputated. And I'm trying to get some sleep, and they've given me some sleeping pills, and they've given me, and then suddenly this bloke wakes up across front back, and he's across from me, and he's screaming, and he's, "Oh, you're keeping me prisoner!" And they say, "I want to go. Where do you want to go?" I want to go. You can't go anywhere. It's middle of night, George, or whatever your fucking name is. 4 o'clock in the morning. This is. I'm laid in my thing. I'm glad I've got my sheet right. I've got my curtains drawn because I like to have my privacy. So at night they were quite good. They allowed me to have my curtains all drawn so that I were in my own little world in my little den. But like you fucking sat in there. And you've been to sleep for the first time because you've been given a sleeping pill, and this fucking old bloke across the road, and you know it's not his fault. I know it's not his fault. He's in so much pain, and he's so much. He was in so much pain, and he was so confused as well. And he did it again the following night. But then the following night, the morning after the following night, he starts kicking off in the morning, and he punches one of the nurses in the face and busts her nose, right? So this is what these people are having to deal with. You know, they're having to deal with these patients. It's not this guy's fault. This guy's obviously got, but again, I don't know what it were, because I know we're listening to his his wife. They took him away after he'd been punching everyone in the face and everything, and they took him away and did something with him. I don't know what they did. Probably, hopefully, some electrical, like whatever it were. It seemed to work anyway. But they did something with him. But I heard a psychologist talking to his wife, and she said, "There's absolutely no sign of dementia. He's doing this on purpose. This is him expressing himself. This is him wanting to be like that, you know." And it did calm down after a while, but it just showed you some of the extremes that go on. You know, you've got a man and he's punching people. And then he got up out of bed. He says, I don't want to be in bed. I want to go somewhere." And they said, "Well, where do you want to go?" And he says, "Well, I don't know." And he gets out of bed. No, and they're telling him to get back in bed. And then he's pushing him out of the way, and he goes and gets in somebody else's bed and refuses to get out. Bloke comes out at toilet with his, like, you know, his drip, rolling it along, and there's a bloke in his bed who won't get out because he's been belligerent. He's just been he's just decided he wants to be a cunt, you know, because there's no, this is what they've got to put up with. I'm not judging this bloke. I'm not saying what anything about his behaviour. I'm just reporting on what he did, what his behaviour was. Yeah, delirium. That's what they said he got. Yeah, he got delirium. But you know, this is what these people have to put up with, and it's they've got a system against them, and then you have patients that are against them, if you will. Sorry, who just they keep wanting attention, they keep wanting different things, and they keep wanting this and they keep wanting that. This must drive them up the wall. Drove me up wall, and I were only an inmate. You know, and I was doing best. I would try and best for myself. I was making sure I emmed in. I never went back into bay where beds were until lights out. So all the rest of them were asleep. Fucking stunk when you went in because the door farted. But you know, I'd got my own little. I pulled curtains across, and I got a fan next to my bed, and that sun just freshened it all up, and I got my own little den, and that's how I survived in there, really. And the amount, you know, it's when you're on that ward, because there is so much pain as well, so many people in so much pain, you know, that all night long. So you're getting woken up, you know, every pair of plates. But it's the staff I really feel sorry for. I really do feel sorry for staff.
Mm. Yeah, the interesting comment here from Papa Bear in the chat room. He says he's self-employed in the fitness industry, vastly more qualified than a nurse. All they're taught is how to fill out forms. It's a disgrace. He said, I have friends who are nurses, and what they don't know is shocking. And that's basic stuff. And I just typed in there, well, I used to be married to a nurse many years ago, and I can concur. She actually did a lot of her own learning and studying because she went off for different careers in medical sales and that sort of thing. But yeah, what nurses aren't taught can be quite shocking sometimes. And he's just posted again that he says, I also have a mate who is a lecturer and teaches nurses in year 3. He knows nothing about health. He teaches them change management, very common purpose. Which, well, we're I think most of us who are part of this, part of Raconteurs News and regular listeners are pretty much well aware of the common purpose agenda and what that's doing to the NHS, to all services, really. It's the as someone explained very well in a YouTube I was listening to yesterday, it's the globalist agenda reaching through to a local level, and they do a pretty damn good job of that, don't they?
They have been doing a pretty damn good job of that, but we've seen difference. We've seen change in certain places. I mean, you can't accuse the mayor of Sheffield of being common purpose. As much as he made that, he banned Trump from Sheffield and all that sort of nonsense and all that absurd bollocks that I don't agree with him at all. But it's refreshing to see something different, that rather than the staid bloke in the suit who just goes along and cuts a ribbon at I don't know, at some fucking flower show where somebody's got some daffodils and the first daffodils of spring, you know, that sort of bollocks. We've got this like real mayor who says things, whether you agree with him or not. It's better than that crap where they come out and they say, who we are committed to, you know, whatever's fucked up, whatever the fuck has fucked up, whatever has gone wrong, whatever's fucked up, it's always, we are committed to our customer service. We have got a fine track record in this sector, and it's just utter nonsense bollocks. You might as well just say, right. I'll tell you what. We've got a statement from the Sheffield Council, and it's just the usual bollocks. They're not admitting anything, and well, they're just trying to just like none of it makes any sense and don't even pertain to this situation at all. It's just like a mission statement, which they claim that they do, which is fucking God, blimey. Winds me up, somewhat chronic. But yeah, good people, like, no, well, not good people, but interesting people. That's what I've been noticing since I've been in hospital. I've noticed, I noticed Trump came, and somebody came along with what was supposedly a £30,000 balloon effigy of him as a baby, which was absolutely ridiculous. The most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Not only ridiculous, but disrespectful as well. And, you know, we're talking about somebody who's, whether you like him or not, don't matter what you think of him, is an elected president. So if you're protesting against him, you're protesting against democracy, and you can't be doing that. Well, you know, like Remainers. It's fucking ridiculous.
Essentially, anybody who's doing this, hang Trump, shoot Trump, all that, they're essentially backing the deep state agenda, which is the whole Trump demonization thing is a deep state agenda. I mean, for Christ's sake, all you've got to do is look at this Hillary Clinton business. I mean, what a shower. I mean, there's, what is it, 30,000 or 300,000 emails that have just been made to disappear. And nobody's sort of, oh, well, that's a criminal act. That's treason. She just seems to be getting away with blue murder. Yet the ones that, oh, we need a woman president, you know, despite the fact she was one of the most dangerous looking psychopaths on the planet, they wanted a president who was a woman. Doesn't matter about any of her other qualifications, particularly the major league psychopathy. And now they're saying, oh, yeah, let somebody shoot Trump. Well, hang on. I'm sure those people would be very regretful of what happened to JFK. Supposedly, and very possibly, one of the last good men that sat in the big chair in the Oval Office. Yet they're condoning the same thing being done to Trump, who is, whether you like him or not, he is the duly elected president. You know, they tried their damnedest to steal the election, but they didn't manage it. Now, yeah, well, was that another globalist setup? We'll never know. We'll never know unless the truth comes out. And I think we're still a good ways off that happening. But
yeah, well, you see, I think, you see, in this, the ideal thing to do is not to take a side, be pro-Trump, anti-Trump. Just to observe. And I shall tell you what I observed. I observed the anti-Trump protesters, and this is how I see them, right? There's 4 old fucking ladies, middle-aged. The husbands, they live on outskirts of London. I don't know, fucking whatever they are, in the, you know, semi-detached 1950s built house, really big, with a really big garden worth, I don't know, 750 grand. And they go around for the bridge meeting for once a week, and they go around to Maureen's house, and Maureen then tells them and says, well, unfortunately, we're going to have to cancel Wimbledon this week. In fact, I've cancelled Wimbledon. I've given the tickets away that we saved up for, and we queued for, and we got special proper seats, centre court seats. I've given them away to the Cancerous Children Association for their annual dinner dance. So to raffle off for that, for their annual fundraiser. And so what we're doing instead is we're going to go and protest against Trump. So the 4 of them then, one of them then says, "Fucking hell, Susan, who get her fucking tickets? Fucking get her fucking tickets. She's get the cunts away now. And now we're going to have to go and fucking do this with them other fucking idiots." And so fucking Susan then goes, "Oh, come on." Whispering campaign starts. Then they start, Maureen says, "Right, okay, well, we're going to have to make some signs." And so they make the little signs, little placards, Trump, do not be here anymore, please. And all that sort of shit. And then they go out, and there's just them 4, and there's nobody with any real argument that's apart from all you get is these like Owen Jones. Owen Jones, he talks out of his fucking arse. Oh, he's bigoted, he's racist, he's this, he's that, he's fucking other, and he does this, and you know he's Obama banned more Muslims than Trump ever has done. So that's just a fact. I'm not defending Trump. I'm not a big Trump fan. Well, sorry, I am a Trump fan. The only reason I'm a Trump fan, not his policies, not anything else like that. I'm just he just stirs things up, and that's something that I like.
Yeah, well, really, compared to what we've had going back pretty much as long as I can remember in the US presidency, is just a series of stooges who are just towing the line. I mean, I suppose old man Bush, he kind of he ploughed his own furrow, but the rest of them, they've just been doing what Bush or whoever controls Bush tells them what to do. At least with Trump, you get the feeling he's a bit of a breath of fresh air. He's his own man. Yes, he's got a few globalists and a few PNAC and CFR guys in his cabinet, but you've got to ask, is he just playing the long game? I mean, we've heard nothing but demonization of Russia out of the UK government, press. You know, anybody who's got a badge or a lanyard, they'll throw shit at Trump and also Putin. And we've got the same both sides of the Atlantic. But Trump and Putin are actually looking like they're going to work closely together and maybe achieve something, something that you might even call global peace, which would be absolutely fantastic. I don't know if you've been watching what happens in Syria, but it seems there's been big changes over there recently.
No, to be fair, I've not heard really anything on Syria. I've really only been keeping up to date with, well, the nonsense that passes as news these days. I mean, you get the when we were speaking about Trump, just while we're on air, how's Paul? Has Paul got anywhere with Dan Bostock yet?
I did speak to Paul, and he said Dan had been in touch with him. I think the message had slipped down his list or whatever, and he did want to come on. So it's looking like that may happen in future. On the subject of Webby, we've got to mention who we've got on next Monday, because that's going to be quite a coup for us, and also mention something else that's happened this week regarding one of your previous guests. Really, I didn't have any great part in that, apart from maybe pressing the buttons, I think, at the time. You way back, you had Karen Smith on from the Sovereign State of Good Hope, and followed not long afterwards by King. Now, what is it? King Kowabaha Calvin Cornelius III. And I saw that 16th yesterday, the Sovereign State of Good Hope took down the South African flag in Cape Town, hoisted up their own flag, and served the notice of eviction on the Western Cape government. So they've got to be out by midnight on Friday. So that's going to be quite an interesting turn of events there. What was it? Oh yeah, next Monday we've got a former Congresswoman coming on. So it's been quite a while since we've had any Americans on. Cynthia McKinney.
Oh, so, marvelous.
Well, I'm going to be really looking forward to that. That should be quite a fantastic show. And then we haven't got anything booked for Tuesday of that week. And then the following Tuesday, we've got someone who I've been watching very quietly and carefully. And I thought, I'll make me move. And yeah, we've got a booked on. And that's Kaz Clark. And I'm really, really looking forward to talking to Kaz, because she was witness to some very strange goings on at a place, I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly, called Penturk in South Wales. And it's right near Llantrisant, the Royal Mint. Now, I know most of our listeners seem to be to keep up to date with Rich Planet and what Richard D. Hall's doing. And I remember this incident occurred, I think it was February 23rd, 2016. And shortly afterwards, Richard was doing his speaking tour down there. And several people approached him from the audience, telling him about what they noticed, loud explosions. Some had reported a UFO being shot down. There was reports of a Apache helicopter that landed with its cockpit on fire, and it actually landed at Cardiff Airport, which seems a little bit strange when they're right in the proximity of places like RAF St. Athan. And Richard did an investigation on that, and from what I watched it again last night to just make sure that I hadn't misremembered, and it seemed like he drew the conclusion that it was a military exercise and there wasn't really much evidence of anything else. But since Kaz has come out, she's put a bit of a different spin on that. She's got a few people corroborating her story, and I'm one of the reasons I'm really looking forward to it is that she's obviously not someone who would go seeking attention, because I saw an interview that she did at Carrie Cassidy's gig at the UFO Academy in Watford, and Caroline Stevens was talking to her, and she said, well, this has changed my life in such a fantastic manner, because she said, I was borderline agoraphobic. She says, I didn't want to go out the house, never mind speak to roomfuls of people or start doing interviews and stuff like that and telling my story. But she said, this is such a big story that she said, I just want to tell the world. And for someone who's not someone who seeks the public attention to do interviews and talk about that, I think that's an incredibly brave thing to do, don't you?
Yeah. It's definitely going to be interesting to listen to her story. You've sent me a link to a film, a YouTube video. Is it an interview with her? I've not been able to watch it yet, but I'm going to watch it tonight before in the end zone, the zone before after my wife's gone to bed and before I go to bed.
Right. Yeah. I usually get to watch one YouTube in that zone myself. I mean, at one time of day, I was, I'd say good night to me other half, and then about 8 hours later, I'd go to bed myself. But, fortunately, unfortunately, depending which way you look at it, for me, I say it's fortunately because I'm actually doing other things with my life now than sitting in front of a computer all my waking hours 7 days a week, because I've got other commitments like my grandson and things like that. Then I'm having to make time for them, and life is a lot more enjoyable as a result. I think you can just get too bogged down with all this, can't you?
Yeah, you can. Yeah. I've had quite a bit away from it. You know, I've not really been in a place where I've been able to really absorb any information or any of that stuff. So I'm coming at it from, as back on tonight. And as far as I'm concerned, that this is it. We're back on the way that we were before, and I'm really looking forward to it. I feel like I've got quite a clean slate as well. So I've not been influenced too much by things that have. I know there's been a lot of bitching and infighting, and somebody had made a mention in the on the YouTube that perhaps we should try and get Brian Harvey on, but we spoke about that, haven't we? I don't know whether we would be able to. But I know Webby's tried him. I might give him a go myself, because sometimes you just get lucky, don't you?
Well, hold the phone. I think I might have actually managed to make a contact where I'm going to be able to get in touch with Brian this week. So we'll keep working on that, all of us. And if we can get Brian on, we will, because I think what he's saying certainly deserves a closer examination. And he's obviously had a really shit deal off the mainstream press. I mean, they've made him out to be major league lunatic. But when you listen to the man talking, he's clearly not as deranged as they make out, is he? Oh,
no. But nobody ever is, are they? I mean, come on, look at Amy Winehouse until they topped her. You know, they do this. That's what they do. They have these people that are targets are bound to be bound by the little gaff that they do. Fucking hell.
Well, can you imagine if you or I got hold of a really big story like that and we were running with it and we were getting some attention? I mean, God knows what they'd call me, but you'd be the one-legged conspiracy theorist from Sheffield, wouldn't you?
One-legged lunatic.
In a 40-ton truck once, when I got out and forgot to put the handbrake on, that was a bit scary, but no, it's pretty difficult to do. Sots has just commented in there, Eddie OK seems in at the minute. That's who I'm looking at making the contact through. He says he can expose Murdoch properly. Well, if it's about exposing Rupert Murdoch, I think that is a worthwhile exercise. And if there's any other people out there who are pretending to be something that they're not, then they need exposing as well. And if we can do that, then I think we damn well should, don't you?
Oh yeah, listen, I'll listen to anybody. I'll listen. Anybody's got any sort of shit, I'll listen to them. I'll pick them up on them if I think it's shit. But I'll listen to anybody. Anybody's got some sort of story, then and he seems to have a lot inside him. He seems to have a lot of anger inside him. He seems to be like at a point where it wouldn't surprise me if he turned up brown bread. But again, would it be a similar situation to? I mean, he claims that John Harris is not dead, doesn't he? He thinks that John Harris might not be dead.
I've had other people very firmly convinced that John's not dead. One or more of those has been guests on the show in the past. I won't say who it is now because they might not want that to be known that they've said that. But yeah, there's some. I mean, Sots is saying he can expose. Yeah, expose Murdoch. I mean, yeah, I suppose the chances of us bringing Murdoch down are pretty slim because he's got a pretty big and pretty sophisticated machine protecting his back, hasn't he? And an awful lot of slimy toads operating that machine.
Well, yeah, of course they are. Anybody with all that money is going to, aren't they? They're going to have people that can do things, that can sort things out, that can, you know, like what is it? What that lord who said that you know, if an MP came to him and he'd got a problem, whether it was debt or it was small boys, you know, we'd get it rid of it, and then we got brownie points on him, and we could get him to vote our way and do what do. It's fucking simple. It's easy. It's absolutely easy. And the people that occupy these high places, God, just look at them. Just have a look. Look at Boris fucking Johnson, for fuck's sake. It's like fucking Bungle. It's like Bungle's fucking foreign secretary or whatever he was supposed to be. And then you've got fucking George fucking Osborne, fucking Chancellor at Exchequer, and a fucking LZ. He failed O-level fucking maths. He can't even do sums, but he's like running economy of entire fucking nation like fuck he is. He's in that fucking position to do what he's fucking told. He ain't got a clue how wrong everything is that he's told to fucking do, because he doesn't know what the fuck it is. All he knows is that, like, you know, he gets his nose filled up with white stuff every now and again. You know, at some point when he needs to sign a few, you know, laws or a few documents or a few white papers or a few recommendations, and you know, and then they'll give him directorships of companies that mean fuck all but just pay huge fucking salaries, and they just that's the way it's run. That's who these people are. I don't know who the fucking Zippy is. It's probably oh god, fucking Zippy. Who was Zippy? The what?
Zippy's in number 10 now, isn't it?
Well, no, don't be sexist. Fucking hell, that's a bit of an insult to Zippy, isn't it? That.
Well, I wasn't really sure whether Zippy was one sex or another, or just some random stuffed toy that hadn't been assigned a gender.
Well, you know, what we should do is we should wait until Zippy decides what he wants himself to be known as. Speaking of which, they were. I meant to tell you. They're awesome. There was a transgender nurse on my ward. Now, clearly a guy got a female nurse's uniform on. He'd got sort of ginger hair, and he tied it up in a like in a bow type thing to look more feminine. That was it. There were no it weren't caked in makeup and you know, walking around in great big massive. It weren't like somebody walking around in great big massive fuck off high heels, like, you know, they fucking walk across with their legs and tights right fucking tight up and holding a fucking bag in their hand. It weren't like that. Just it was quite subtle, but it was clear that, you know, he wanted to that he was whether he dressed or he was transgender or he just dressed transvestite. I don't know, but it was interesting on the morning after my operation because he was my nurse. He was in there and he was washing me down and things, and stuff. And which, you know, it was. To be fair, I didn't give a fuck because, you know, I've just had my leg amputated. It didn't fucking matter what's fucking going on. Who's washing me or doing you know, I really, really, really nice kid. Really nice kid. And the nice thing about him was that he didn't expect me to join in his delusion by calling him her. He didn't expect me to do that. And I called him him. He never like objected at all. But he never expected me to do that, and I didn't do that. But I was prepared. I did call him when I asked him his name, and he said Rebecca. Fine, that's what he wants to call himself, Rebecca. Then great. And he was a really nice kid, and I just felt best for him. Really, he seemed a bit young and confused, but he did a damn good bed bath. I'll tell you that. Damn good bed bath.
Oh man, yeah. I really don't know what to say to that one. Really, I mean, just thinking about it, maybe it's a bit of a blessing we haven't got Webby and Aid on tonight, because I'm sure they'd have something to say about it.
Hey, listen, he were a very nice kid. I mean, he's very nice kid. So.
If Aid's listening, I don't know whether he'll be listening or in bed, because he's poor old Aid's been having a few hits lately and he's been under the weather. If you're listening, Aid, I hope you're feeling better soon, mate, because the bloody hard work it's like having two competitive teenage sons with you and him. You know, oh, I'm in hospital. No, I'm in hospital. I'm in hospital now.
Come on, I must have trumped him with this one, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, but he hasn't finished yet, so you got up his sleeve, do you?
I don't. Yeah, good. Anyway, get well soon, Eddie. If you're, and he phoned us yesterday. I think he's okay. I just think he's just getting tired a bit. You know, he's got some problem with his heartbeat. Not a problem with his heartbeat, but some things happening with his heartbeat which is tiring him out. So yeah, if you're listening, Aid, I hope you get well soon, mate. And I'll come and see you when I get my bionic leg and when I get me new car, or my automatic car.
Although the stream's looking good on YouTube Live, and YouTube's getting quite lively now. We've solved the with the help of the chat room, we've solved the Zippy issue. Sots is saying that Zippy was playing with his balls once. It was Bungle who didn't have any. And rub and tug. Yeah, okay. Transgender is a mental health problem, says Tony.
Exactly.
What kids get changed is mental illness too, says Papa Bear. And Tony says, no, that's criminal in my opinion. Sorry, run your mouse over it while holding the right click. I have no idea what that means. But yeah, it's been a lively old evening in all the chat rooms. It's job keeping up with them, but I do my best. James Lockwood. Oh, Charlotte Caldwell's joined the Facebook Live a few minutes ago. If you're still on there, Charlotte, best wishes to you and Billy. And the last thing I heard about that your situation was that Billy had been allowed to get his medicine, and I hope he's doing well on that. Because I think it was Adi that interviewed Charlotte, wasn't it, when she came on?
Yeah, I think it were. Yeah.
So, right. Well, I've just got a couple of things I'd like to. Well, there's one thing really. I saw something on Facebook today, and I thought it was quite inspirational, and particularly for anyone who's going through a hard time at the minute. We all have these ups and downs in life, and we never know when it's going to take a turnaround. I mean, I suppose you're a brilliant example of that. Yeah, most people would say, but Jason's just had his leg off. That's about as shit as it gets. No, as shit as it got was how you were before you had your leg off. And there's no other way of staring. You're staring death in the face. But this is from somebody who I'm friends with on Facebook. I won't give her name out because I don't want to embarrass her if she doesn't want her name read out on air. And she got quite a good life on an island up in Scotland somewhere. And I don't know what went wrong, but it seems it all went a bit pear-shaped. And she ended up living somewhere she didn't want to be, in a situation she didn't want to be in. And a week or so ago, she decided that she was just going to get in the car and go to Scotland. And she was going to try and find herself a job. So she went to one of her favourite places in Scotland, and she slept in a car, and yeah, it was a bit of a struggle. But then after a few days, somebody offered her a job. And it seems, even though from what I can gather, she's quite a shy person, by just putting her face about and asking a few questions, she's had several different job offers. And lo and behold, I saw on a timeline today that this island that she used to live on, that was her little bit of paradise, it seems that someone's almost created a job for her there. And she's got a job working as a carer for someone, and she's got a 2-bedroom house that they're going to let her live in free of charge for doing this job. So when things look at their darkest, it can only take a small change. I mean, I don't know, maybe going up to Scotland and sleeping in the car for a few nights was a massive thing for her to do. Maybe it was a small thing, but it doesn't require that Donald Trump gets assassinated and Putin becomes king of Australia for your life to change. You know, it's the old thing. If you want change in your life, be the change that you want to see. And this individual, she did that, and she made that change, and it looks like she's got back to what she considered to be a wonderful life. And hats off to anyone who does that. Oh, that's brilliant. I've just seen who's just joined the chat on Facebook. It's Dave Gazy. Hiya, Dave. How you doing, man? We'll have to have a chat sometime soon. Get yourself on Skype one evening and we'll have a good old catch up. I haven't spoke to you for ages, man. I know you're probably busy and all that, and I know you don't spend an awful lot of time on these dreadful machines like we do, but it'd be great to have a catch up with you, fella.
Well, just to add to what you were just saying then, when you get into a situation like just like I've just been in, it can only affect you in ways that you allow it to affect you. If you are not going to allow it to take away, for me, the one thing it weren't ever going to take away from me was my sense of humour. Whatever you think of your sense of humour, whether you think it's good or not, I think I've got a great good sense of humour. I think I'm like the most funny bloke in the entire world. But you know, some people probably hate it. I don't care. But that's me. That's my sense of humour. That wasn't what I didn't want to feel as though that it had took anything away from me, and so I didn't allow it to take anything away from me. There was no way that I was it were gonna take away the joy that I sometimes have when I see something funny, and I see something funny, and I just think to something in my head that I'd have said out loud if there was somebody there, but I don't. I just say it to myself, and I laugh to myself. I do. I'll admit to that. I won't want that taken away from me. So what you're going to do is you're going to say, right, this is how much this is going to. I'm going to allow this to have an effect on me, but no further than that. And it's not. It might sound like it's all about being strong, but it's not. Honestly, it's just about being yourself. You know, I'm still me. I've got 3/4 of a leg missing, but I'm still me. Still the same person. Still exactly the same. And so, and anybody else, if you're going through anything, the people that really love you, the people that really matter, they'll be there, and they won't give a fuck about anything. All they give a fuck about is yourself. Don't allow any adversity to take away from you more than you're prepared to give.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree with that more, Jason. I'm a bit stumped for words. I'm a bit emotional here. I just want to say thanks for listening, everyone. And thank you for getting back on tonight.
Listen, no problem, mate. I absolutely love being on. I know I tried a few times before. That's just because that's how much I love it. I felt like shit and I didn't last, but you know I did try. That's how much I love being on air. That's why. That's how much I love talking to our listeners, and I know we've got some great regular listeners, and I want to thank them for their support as well, because I know that I've had a great amount of support from them. It's come through you, Andy, as well. So if I'd missed them out, I didn't mean to, but with some great listeners, and I just love it. So it's been my pleasure.
Yeah. Well, it's been, I suppose you'd call it quite a roller coaster ride since I met you, Jace. And there's been some massive ups and some massive downs. But if I'm honest, one of the biggest ups was talking to you last Friday night when you got out from hospital and seeing you looking, as you do now, looking well, looking healthy, and sounded positive. Well, I mean, you were positive in hospital. I was amazed at how positive you were 3 days after having your leg off. But to see you when you got home and to just have that chat with you, I woke up on Saturday morning, and the first thought that come in my head, oh, Jason's home. Hang on. Was that actually real or was it just a dream? And I don't remember dreams, but yeah, it's great to have you back, bruv. And I'm looking forward to see where we go from now. So thanks everybody for listening. You've been a great crowd tonight. You've been some great input, and we'll be back Monday night, 7 o'clock. Webby will be with us, and also Cynthia McKinney. So we'll see you then. Unless you've got anything to say before we go, Jace?
No. Good night, everybody. We'll see you next week. Back to normal. This is us. Raconteurs News. Don't miss us.
Old, smell like coal. Gotta get the wiggies cause I'm off to the hole in the road. I'm walking off school and I'm off to the city, watching telly all night and I'm not looking pretty. See, I got this job downtown, selling knocked toffee right away. I'll be in the cafe. I'm just a boy from Sheffield, making his way through life. I'm just a boy from Sheffield, making his way. I'm just a boy from Sheffield, making his way through life. I'm just a boy from Sheffield, making his way. So it's been a few hours and I haven't sold enough for my bus fare home. Street selling's pretty tough, so I turn on the charm for the lunchtime rush with a smile and a wiggle of my schoolboy touch. So the charm is working in the underground. There's a crowd of men and women gather round, and the watches they are going. The money is the flow. Think I'll take a little extra, stick it in my pocket, spend it later. I'm just a boy from Sheffield, making his way through life. I'm just a boy from Sheffield, making his way. I'm just a boy from Sheffield, making his way through life. I'm just a boy from Sheffield, making his way. I haven't sold a watch for an hour and I'm dying for a slash. I've had enough of this, so I'm off for a piss. Then a quick walk back round to the cafe, sitting at his table drinking tea. Looks at me suspiciously, then with a glance at the watch he says, how did you do? He paid me a couple of quid, then he said, would you like to come and work another day? I said I'd come back down on Friday, and to that he said okay. So with £2 in my pocket and another 5 in my shoe, I nipped down to Castle Market where the man who looks like Leo Sayer is selling pots with cockles and prawns. You make me feel like dancing. Then off back to dinner on the Wiggies and then home. I'm just a boy from Sheffield, making his way. I'm just a boy from Sheffield, making his way. I'm just a boy from Sheffield, making his way. I'm just a boy from Sheffield, making his way. I'm just a boy from Sheffield, making his way. I'm just a boy from Sheffield, making his way. I'm just a boy from Sheffield, making his way. I'm just a boy from Sheffield, making his way. I'm just a boy from Sheffield, making his way. I'm just a boy from Sheffield, making his way. I'm just a boy from Sheffield, making his way. I'm just a boy from Sheffield, making his way. I'm just a boy from Sheffield, making his way. I'm just a boy from Sheffield, making his way. I'm just a boy from Sheffield, making his way. I'm just a